Romans didn't just invade, they performed, making their conquest feel inevitable. Every parade, every display was a carefully crafted message. Resistance is fuel. The Elephant's March announced Rome is here, and it's bringing the wonders of the world with it. People watched in awe, their imaginations forever changed by the spectacle. Sometimes the strangest details revealed the true genius of an empire. In the end, it wasn't just the sword that conquered, but the story. Turning wild Britain into a Roman province took more than swords. It took a master plan. Rome landed over 40,000 hardened soldiers, not just to fight, but to build, govern, and transform. Their first move seized the southeast, Britain's economic heart, by capturing tribal capitals like Conquest. The Romans didn't just conquer land, they took over systems, using overwhelming force at key points. With the navy controlling rivers and coasts and kingdoms advancing inland, the Britons were outmaneuvered at every turn. In just 40 years, roads and Roman towns spread across the island, outpacing and out-organizing the tribes. Administrators and merchants followed, weaving Britain into the empire's fabric. By the time Agricola defeated the Caledonians, Britain was no longer a patchwork of tribes. It was Roman Britannia. The transformation was relentless, systematic, and total. Claudius' invasion of Britain in AD 43 was a gamble with his organization. He sent Aulus Claudius with 4 legions, but even the soldiers hesitated, fearing the unknown sea. Only a rousing speech about justice, about freedom, about the movement. The land was intense, unopposed. The Britons divided and prepared to live their The Romans quickly established their At the River Medway, Roman discipline clashed with British The conquest was done with shock, speed, and a touch of imperial theater. Before Rome, London didn't exist. Just a wild, untamed stretch of marshland by the Thames, where the river's tides shaped the muddy banks, and only scattered tribes passed through. It was a place of silence, mist, and water, far from the centers of power in ancient Britain. The Romans, ever strategic, saw what others overlooked. They recognized the site's potential, a defensive position, centrally located, with easy access to the river for moving troops and supplies. It was the perfect spot to anchor their ambitions in Britain. By AD 47, they found their location. It wasn't meant to be a grand capital at first, but rather a bustling commercial hub, a gateway to the good, peaceful night, leading down to the province. Its location was ideal for trade. The Romans built a sturdy wooden bridge across the Thames. From this crossing, new roads radiated outward, connecting Londinians to the farthest reaches of Britain. In just a decade, the transformation was astonishing. What began as a muddy military camp quickly exploded into a thriving town plugged directly into the empire's vast trade network. Ships arrived from distant lands, unloading exotic goods on bustling docks. For the native Britons, Londinians and north, Roman soldiers weren't just craftsmen. They saw the laws, unfamiliar customs, strange luxuries, olive oil, wine, and fine pottery, all symbolized the Londinians were raw, and unrest simmered as Claudius collapsed, and the city's population swelled beyond its walls. Yet, despite the dangers, Londinians embodied the promise of Roman rule, a new world built from nothing, rising from the marshes as a testament to Roman ambition and ingenuity. The story of Londinium is a story of transformation. Forgotten patchwork, vibrant part of Roman Britain, it mirrors the changes sweeping the entire island. From marsh to metropolis, Londinium was Rome's boldest statement, a city that rose from the mud to become a symbol of empire. Roman conquest was as much about tribal politics as open war. The Catavellauni, led by Claudius and his sons, were Britain's power brokers, so Rome struck them first. After their defeat, Claudius escaped west, waging guerrilla war for years before his capture became a Roman spectacle. Some tribes, like the Legacies, tried cooperation. Their king Presentatus The Romans' abuse of Utica and her daughters ignited a firestorm. The Iceni, the monuments, united by rage, rose under Utica's fierce fury. Their revolt was full of war. Tabula Rasa, Londinium, and Verulamium were burned, their posterity slaughtered. With the governor far away, Roman the ninth leader was destroyed. For a moment, Roman collapsed. Utica's army swarmed the allies, stopped them, but surrounding all outnumbered and would never be the same. After Boudicca's fierce revolt shook Roman control, the empire responded with a sweeping transformation of Britain. Determined to prevent further uprisings, Rome rebuilt the province with a network of roads, new towns, and a system of taxes that would change daily life forever. Over 10,000 miles of straight paved roads cut through forests and fields, connecting distant forts, bustling markets, and isolated villages. These roads weren't just for soldiers, they became the lifelines of trade, communication, and control, binding the province together like never before. New towns sprang up across the landscape, each carefully planned and modeled on Roman ideals. Forums emerged with debated grand temples rose to honor Roman gods, and luxurious public baths and open beasts to embrace the cultures of Rome. Taxes funded this ambitious transformation, paying for roads, public buildings, and the Roman army itself. But the tax system was efficient and relentless, often demanding more than many British did. Resentment simmered beneath the surface as prosperity came at a cost. For many Britons, Roman rule brought both new opportunities and heavy burdens. Some found wealth and status, while others struggled with stood as marvels of Roman engineering and pleasure, drawing visitors from across the province to experience their healing waters and elegant architecture. Roman amenities from heated floors to public fountains softened the sting of conquest. For many, these luxuries made the new order more palatable, even desirable, blending Roman innovation with local tradition. Civilization came at a price, and not everyone was willing to pay it. But for some, the benefits, security, prosperity, and comfort were worth the sacrifices demanded by Rome. Over time, the Roman way of life slowly took root, reshaping Britain from the ground up. The marks of empire, roads, towns, and baths would endure for centuries, leaving a legacy that still shapes the landscape today. Rome's military edge was disciplined tactics and adaptability. Every night, legions built fortified camps, making surprise attacks nearly impossible. In battle, they fought as a unit, 3 lines deep, absorbing charges and counterattacking with precision. Auxiliary troops added cavalry archers and specialists, giving Roman generals unmatched flexibility. The Britons, brave but divided, couldn't match this organization or diversity. Rome's real genius was divide and conquer, allying with some tribes, isolating others. Political manipulation was as deadly as the sword. Caradicus fell not in battle but through betrayal. The Romans won by outthinking, not just outfighting their enemies. Their tactics built an empire and kept Britain under their control. By the 2nd century, Rome's advance stalled in the wilds of Caledonia. Hadrian's Wall marked the empire's edge, a barrier, a customs post, and a symbol of Roman order. Walls, roads, and cities like London and York are Rome's most visible legacies. They brought new animals, lands, and a Latin language, reshaping Britain's culture and identity. When Rome withdrew, its systems faded. The Anglo-Saxons inherited both identity.